Little by little, I started developing a system so that it would make it duplicatable, and then most importantly, to be able to multiply yourself as your teams are growing, okay? Because understand something, we can all train, right? Usually a couple of levels in our organization, right? But when your organization starts growing and it starts expanding into different markets, then what happens? If you don't train someone properly on how to properly get a new marketing consultant started, everybody along the way is going to add a little bit here and a little bit there and change a little bit here and change a little bit there. And by the time you walk into an organization, let's say that you start in California, 3 months into it or 4 months into it, if there's not a guidance on how to properly do it from the first level, by the time it gets to the 4th or 5th level, it's kind of like when we were all little and we play the telephone game, right? And we tie a string to a can and this and that, and we start something. Well, by the time it went around the little group, what was said in the beginning was totally misperceived by the time it got back around to you, right? And that's kind of what it is when you're building a network marketing company. Because even though we want to have policies and procedures and we do training videos like the one we're doing today, if you're not plugging in people into that system, then somewhere along the line that doesn't get duplicatable. Does that make sense? So today I think I want to talk about what I believe I'm very passionate about, and that is emotionally connecting my team to their why. And if you all understand that when you all get someone involved in the business, they don't know what they don't know, like Phil says, right? And if you yourself are a brand new marketing consultant, then maybe you don't know what you don't know. And that's why what's important and what's neat about this concept is there are people in your upline that have been doing it long enough that all you have to do is pick up the phone and ask for help. All you have to do is send them a quick text and they'll answer a question for you. You're in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. So it's important that you understand that. Now, when I say to people that the most important step that we have at Ambit Energy is helping your new MCs get paid in 28 hours and not 28 days, let me explain to you what that means. Even though Ambit Energy has given us 28 days to accomplish this, any seasoned consultant in the room will tell you that they get a new MC started and they'll give them assignments to do, and then they'll leave it up to them to see if they can gather that handful of customers. And the clock is ticking, and by the time you get to the 27th day, you look at your report and you realize, oh my goodness, this person never gathered their customers. And then what happens? Panic mode sets in. You realize, oh my goodness, the chance to recover $150 or $300 or whatever dollar amount is there sitting on the table will be gone if by midnight on the 20th day you don't help your new MC acquire. And then as you start building organizations and as you start growing to regional, senior, executive, national, if you understand our comp plan clearly says that the only way we get paid is helping people gather a handful of customers. And all the leadership bonuses that are paid all the way to national consultant do not get paid until you help others acquire customers, right? So the one only process that gets us paid, sometimes I believe, is the one process that we leave unlearned, right? Because we believe, oh, we'll take our neighbors and our friends and our family. They'll see it. We'll get them to a meeting, right? We'll get them in front of the video. Well, and so yeah, you can go on a sponsoring frenzy, right? People say to me, how much money would I make if I sponsored 1,000 people in 3 months? And I said, well, okay, 1,000 people in 3 months that gather their handful of customers, or 1,000 people that you sponsor? No, 1,000 people. Zero. This is not a product-based company where you signed up, enrolled, and in your enrollment became points because of the products now that they're shipping to your house, right? So in a different multi-level company, yeah, you can enroll 1,000 people, that spent $800 to enroll because they bought $800 worth of products, and then yes, you will have a bonus. Not an Ambit Energy. In Ambit Energy, we do not get paid till we gather that handful of customers. So, if we know that, the most important process, I believe, that is up to us when we're sharing this business with new people, is that we have to establish immediately why would they consider doing something like this, right? It doesn't matter if you walk into someone's lovely home, right? Or they're driving a nice car. Sometimes they're driving a car nicer than your car, right? When you first start off. Or you walk into someone's home that's living in a nicer home than you are, right? Those folks still have a reason. Either one, they're concerned about the economic situation and wondering how they're going to keep their beautiful home and their nice cars, right? Or they realize that they haven't built a legacy for their family. That maybe their children don't want to follow in their footsteps. So when they get done doing what they're doing, no one else is going to take over the family business, right? Or take over their careers. So those are little things that when you're getting to know someone, you need to know why are they going to spend 5 to 7 hours a week doing something different to create a secondary source of income or retirement income. And you need to establish that right away. So that's how you're going to get them emotionally connected. Then, when you're ready to make calls to invite people to presentations or invite folks to become your customers, sometimes that why is going to have to come out. Because understand something, especially if you have a career and people know that you've had a career and you're calling them and all of a sudden you're talking to them about energy, they're wondering, okay, you're a nurse, you went to school for nursing, what do you know about electricity, right? But if you know a short version of your why, and you see them give you kind of that hesitation, you know, you hear the hesitation over the phone, or you're face to face with them and you see that hesitation in the way they look at you, you could say, because my husband and I realize, or because I realize that doing what I'm doing today, God forbid something were to happen to me tomorrow, I don't have that retirement income. I don't have that security blanket that I thought I was going to have. I don't have the funds to send my children to college because they weren't the greatest athlete, or they weren't the most talented musician, or they weren't, you know, they didn't get a scholarship. So what do I tell my children then? Sorry, I didn't plan correctly, so you can't go to college, go get a job, right? So these are the things that you have to establish right away when you're out there in public and when you're out there talking to new consultants, okay? And so the system that I developed was a system to help consultants gather their customers in 28 hours, not 28 days, or you can say 4 hours and not 4 weeks, however you want to remember it, okay? And that is because that one function is going to determine how long that new MC is going to be involved in their own business. Because, one of the downfalls, I believe, is that it only costs $458 to start your business, right? So, if it costs $458,000, would someone quit so easily, Ambit Energy? No, right? Because they would have had to put a second on their house, or they would have had to take a bank loan. Business owners here, I'm sure, spent more money, right, invested in their business. And so if one day a customer upset them, they're going to close the doors and say, that's it, I don't want to do this anymore? No, right? So that in itself is a double-edged sword in our business, because it only costs $458. Anyone here spent $458 in something that you weren't expecting anything in return? I know I've gone shopping and spent a lot of money on shoes and purses that I didn't sit there going, okay, when's it growing? When's that money coming? Right? No, I just spent it. I didn't even think about it, right? Men that like to golf, how much do good golf clubs cost, right? Do we think about it when we spend the $500? No, we do it. But it's amazing how when you say someone, for just $458, you can start your own, sales and marketing organization representing energy, they look at you like, well, I don't know. Do I have $458, to spend on something that can potentially get me millions of dollars? That's because you didn't connect them to their why, right? And so when you're getting a new marketing consultant started, establish their why, know their why, okay? Then, create a list with them. And this is the step that'll either make you or break you in this business. This is the only inventory that we have. The only inventory that we have in this business, aside from your tools, your success magazines, going to a business presentation, putting gas in the car to get you to a meeting, dressing for success, aside from those things, the only inventory that you are responsible for, yourself and your team, is their list. Because if you don't have a list, who can you share this business with? If you don't have a list, who can you call to gather your customers, right? But the simple fact is that you give someone an assignment to make a list, and then life gets in their way. There's a lot of new people here today, so you may have not experienced that yet. There's a lot of seasoned people here today that can say they've experienced that. They have left a new MC's house. They have said, here's a memory jogger, make a list, and I'll get back with you to make phone calls. And the next day they call, and they're still hemming and humming because they haven't made the list. And the second day, and the third day, and the fourth day, and by the fifth day, they won't pick up the phone anymore. Because that $458 to them really didn't matter, right? Now it matters to you, right? Because you understand that you don't get paid till you help them get paid. That's just reality. So when I say to people, create a list, what does the word create in itself mean?
To make.
To do, to make, right? At that moment, right? So let's say I say, Mary, who's your doctor? Who sold you your first car? When they sold you that car, did you go see a finance manager? Do you remember his name? When you had to get insurance for that car, who sold you the insurance? Right? When you go get your hair done, who does your hair? When you go get your nails done, who does your nails? When you go play golf, who's your golf buddies? Right? When your car breaks down, who do you call to fix your car? When your tires are low and you need new tires, who's the tire guy that you go see? Right? Who do you know that's an engineer? Who do you know that's a fireman? Who do you know that's an electrician? Who do you know fixes aircraft? Who do you know that's in the military? Who do you know that's in... And start going through the who do you know. And they will then realize that as you're saying that, you're jotting these names down because they're participating with you. Do you get it? So you're writing this down. Now they've figured out that you're making a list with them. And then it gets really fun, okay? And I'll show you why. So as you're going through this, and then you say to them, do you have a great aunt, a great uncle, someone that maybe is sitting in a lazy chair, they feel they've gotten to the end of their life, they've been there, done that, they really don't want to do anything else, they're happy watching TV, they're happy having their meals brought to them, but they use electricity. Do you know anybody like that in your life? Write it down, right? Mary, do you ever have family parties where you have that one friend or that one uncle that is so obnoxious, he's always cursing, or he's drunk, or he's, a pain in the rear, right? Is there anybody like that I described that you can think of? Oh yeah, that's uncle. Oh yeah, that's aunt. Write it down. Now what am I doing there? I'm creating again a list of two things. People that I'm going to call to have them take a look at what they're doing, and people I'm going to call to help them get paid, because that's their customers, right? So am I saying to prejudge? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that it's up to us to prejudge anyone, because it's amazing to me how people say, well, I know so-and-so, but he wouldn't want to do this, right? He lives up in the hill, he drives a Porsche, his wife is always at, Pinochle or whatever rich wives do, I don't know. I couldn't even think of what, but anyway. Or playing tennis, I don't know, whatever, right? or getting a massage daily and getting their nails done, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. I don't think I'm going to talk to them because they're not going to see this. They don't need this, right? You'd be surprised how folks that are successful would be open to realizing, because they've heard that energy deregulation will be the greatest distribution of wealth there is, because they read Forbes magazine, because they read financial information, and and they're talking about what energy deregulation does. So you'd be surprised how open they would be. But instead, what do we do when we're creating a list? We're looking for people that don't have a job, that really need this, because they really need it, right? How many times have you heard people say that? Well, I'll talk to so-and-so because he really needs this. And then they go and talk to them, and they're like trying to figure out why they didn't see it. Well, usually that $458 is a big monster for someone that doesn't have a job and doesn't really quite want to do anything else in life. But do they use electricity? Would they like to save money on something that they're going to pay for on a monthly basis? Absolutely, right? So that's why it's important for you to create lists with your new MC the first day. You enroll them, you hit submit, you get a C number, game on. It's not time to go through Power Zone. It's not time to teach them how to enroll a customer. It's not time to teach them where to find training videos. It's not time to talk about your team website. It's not time to talk about your team calls. It's not time to talk about your business presentation on a weekly basis. It's time to get them paid. Now understand, I'm going to take you through a process where then those other steps are important, but they're not important when you hit submit and you get a C number. Okay? So let's be clear on that. I don't want anybody to misinterpret what I just said. Okay? So then you also start creating a list based on the states that we represent. So, PJ, who do you know in California? Who do you know in Illinois? Who do you know in Texas? Who do you know in Massachusetts? Who do you know in DC? Who do you know? So you do the who do you know in the states that we represent. And then the folks that you know there, are they business owners? Do they have a career? Oh no, it's my great aunt, blah, blah, blah. Well, she uses electricity, right? So then you start dividing your state list with customers, potential customers, or potential consultants. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I'm going to be quiet a second, and you all read what I have up there. As silly as that may be, I still have regional consultants and senior consultants that'll call me to help them with this step. Some people have a fear of the phone. Some people have a fear of calling, right? People. So if you can establish that right away, then you know whether you're going to have to help them more along than less along. Does that make sense? You all can participate. We are videoing. Okay. So when you establish that right away with a new MC, you can ask questions like, have you been in network marketing before? Have you been in sales before? Have you talked to folks on the phone before? Right? You want to know their comfort level about picking up a phone. Because again, what are the only two things that get us paid in Ambit Energy? It's gathering a handful of customers and teaching others how to do the same. So if you're not going to pick up the phone to do either steps, how long is that career of Ambit for those folks? Not too long, right? Now here's what's really fun. If they understand that you're the one that's going to help them with those initial calls, do you want to know how quickly that list gets made? Because now they're like, oh, you're going to help me with those calls? Wait a minute. We should call this one and this one and this one and this one, right? They take out their chicken list. Because now they're like, okay, I'm not doing this by myself. I'm actually going to get helped. Okay? So ask your new your new MC? How comfortable do you feel that I am knowledgeable at what I'm helping you with? And this again goes back to the stop. And if you don't feel comfortable enough, reach up to your regional or senior. And if you're in my organization, you have no excuse, because I'm not afraid of the phone. And you all are more than welcome to call me anytime. Okay? And when I mean anytime, my leaders here can tell you, I've talked to them at midnight, at 1, at 3, at 5, at 6, at 4, whatever time. I'm available. Just get good at texting. Don't call me at 3 in the morning. Text me. And then, no, just kidding. Right? And so that again, now, the next step of getting your new MC paid is that now you're going to make these phone calls with them. Now understand, again, what are we doing? We're doing a step that's going to help them get paid before you leave their home. So here's a clue to you. If you know you're on your way to sponsor a new marketing consultant, and you know that you're not going to have time to help them get paid, make sure that before you even sign them up, you've already established a day with them that you're going to be with them. Get it? Because sometimes we sponsor people over the phone, right? Sometimes we sponsor people at a local meeting, right? And it's 8:30, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, so they may not feel comfortable right then and there making calls. But establish a time that you are immediately going to be with them before you hit submit. Folks, understand something. You have a clock to help your consultants get paid. You have a lifetime to build your businesses. Let me repeat that. You have a clock, which is a 28-day clock that helps your consultants get paid. But you have a lifetime to build an organization, to build a business, right? So if we work smart, if we work intelligently, we can all help people succeed and not leave people left behind walking around saying, oh yeah, I tried that thing, but it didn't work. How many folks know people that have dabbled in network marketing and it didn't work for them? That's a lot of hands that went up. But you know what I ask, because I've been in this industry and I did have success, I'll say, do you still have your calendar when you started your business? And they'll like give me this look. And I'll say, so how big was the list that you created? How many home meetings did you make? How many training sessions did you attend? How many folks did you get your product in front of? How many? And I'll go through a question answer. And if they can't question and give me, if I ask a question and they can't give me an answer, do you know what that final result is? It's not that that didn't work. It's that they didn't work that. Okay? So it's not that Ambit Energy doesn't work. It's that people don't work it. Does that make sense? Okay? So identify that there's certain steps in every business that gets us paid. Okay? And so now we're going to go and we're going to make calls. Now, these are examples, guys. This is going to be up in a website and you'll be able to read it. And if you need to practice it and use it, use it. If you have to tweak it, tweak it. Because you have to be comfortable with what you are going to say when you're with your consultants. And things change, believe me. Not always are you going to use the same verbiage for everybody. So these are just kind of examples, all right? So I'll say to Mary, Mary, when you call your grandmother, you know, Joanne or whatever, right? Get small talk out of the way, right? Because you don't want to go through this long conversation, right? And then just pick one of these. Which one of these do you feel comfortable asking your friends and family, right? Now, when you are comfortable asking questions, okay, like these, then practice it with your new marketing consultant. Have them say to you what it is that they're going to say on their first call. Because again, they're going to be fumbling a little bit about, you know, but what if they say this or what if they, right? So they're going to fumble a little. And then you put them at ease. Remember, I'm here. Okay? So this is where the next slide goes. we are then going to transition the call to the person, the sponsor that's helping you. Okay? Now, for those of you that have a career, for those of you that have been in business for yourselves, for those of you that have done anything, the first time, were you left alone to give your first injection? Were you left alone to do your first reports? Were you left alone to do whatever procedure has to be done at your new job for the first time? No. Did most of you have to shadow somebody for a while? Okay, so why do we believe in Ambit Energy is any different? Why do we believe that all we have to do is enroll that consultant, say, we got one, we're closer to a regional consultant, and let them go? And give them the benediction. You can do this, man. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. Bye. Next. No. Because if you do that, what do you think is going to be duplicated when they sponsor their first consultant? Right? And so another thing that I find interesting and why I created this is that when you're speaking to a family member that knows what you've been doing all your life, and now you're calling them about energy or reducing their energy costs, or you've started a new business and and you're really excited about it, right? Is it easier for a family member to kind of say, are you crazy? Have you lost your marbles? I mean, why are you doing that? You're a successful nurse. You're a successful business owner. You're a blah, blah, blah. That's crazy. They start giving you their reason why you shouldn't be doing this, right? What happens, though, when you're talking to that same family member and you say this to them? Hey, Grandma, look, I'm working on something that, can maybe retire me or retire my, my husband or put my kids through college, and I have someone here that's training me, that's helping me with this process because it's my first day. And I figured that if I was going to embarrass myself, it'd be easier for me to embarrass myself with you, Grandma or an aunt or whatever. Do you mind if I put you on speakerphone so I learn through this process? Now watch how things shift. Now grandma or aunt or uncle want you to look good. They don't want to embarrass you. They're not going to talk down to you. They're not going to say how crazy that idea is, right? Because what are they thinking when you said that you have a trainer there that is helping you with something that you're working on? Right. And they're thinking, oh, this is their boss, right? This is a part-time job, right, that my niece or nephew or whatever have. So they're going to want you to look good. They're not going to want to embarrass you. So then that's when then you, the sponsor, take over because you're the expert. Okay? And then you just go through again. If I could show you a way where I can reduce your energy cost, a bill that you've been paying all your life, would you be open to listen? Right? That's a pretty easy transition, right? If I need a great favor from you, right? You would help me with one of my first promotions in this new project that I'm working on. And it's real simple. I just need you to go grab your electric bill, and we're going to show you a way that we can eliminate it or potentially, save some money or eliminate it altogether. But I don't know enough, Aunt Sue, so Heidi is going to help you go through the savings portion of it, okay? So again, that in itself is a nugget. That in itself is a nugget because most family members will respect the process because they themselves at one point in life were trained by somebody, has gone through a process. Does that make sense? To this point, am I resonating with anyone? Is that clear? Okay. So we're going to ask Mary to go grab her bill because we want information from that bill to enroll them, correct? Now here's a process next that's going to come on how your new marketing consultant is going to learn how to enroll their customer. One, if they could become their own customer, if they're in an area that they can be their own customer, then they already saw that process because you enrolled them as their first customer, okay? So now they've already know how to use that website. So when people say, should I go and explain everything to a new marketing consultant before, we start going to work? No, because we're going to learn as we go. Does that make sense? So we're going to learn as we go. So now, the next slide basically is doing a cost analysis proper for Texas, because obviously I'm from Texas. So if you have a Texas customer or potential customer, this would apply to you. In Texas, we don't ask folks, what do you pay per kilowatt? Because energy companies in Texas sell an energy rate and we sell a bundled rate. So in our rate, all the transmission fees, all the pass-through fees are already added into our rate. So if I'm trying to do a proper analysis and I ask somebody what their rate is, then we're not comparing apples to apples, okay? And you experienced that with a customer in Texas. So I say that, why? Because there's people here as, Pam, that experienced that. She lives in Pennsylvania, in Maryland, had never done a Texas analysis, so she asked me to help her, and I helped her, okay? So that's the process. Now, if you're here in a state where, yes, the only thing we're going to do is we're going to reduce or eliminate their supply charge, then yes, you can ask them, what are they currently paying? Now, if somebody's bill fluctuates on a monthly basis, another little nugget, if somebody's bill fluctuates on a monthly basis, they're on a variable plan, okay? So again, you can't do a proper analysis if you don't know what they paid a month before. How far back would you say, Phil, that you go to ask for bills? 3 months? To kind of see if they are in a variable rate?
In Maryland, as you all know, BG&E and Pepco, you guys have, it changes like October 1st, the rates all went up. So as you all know, they have their spring and summer rates, and then you have your fall and winter rates. So what I tell people is you have to get two bills which are the most crucial, which is their October billing, and then you have to usually get their March or April billing, which will reflect their summer rate. And that way you get an average of what they're paying for, because you'll have some people, and it's a great question, that'll go, oh, my rate is cheaper than Ambit. No, because you have to average out. If it was 8.5 cents during the summer, and it goes up like it just did to 9.7 cents in the winter, right? You guys have to figure out what the average is for those two. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So please understand you need to, yes ma'am. Okay, so what you need to do is make sure October 1st, as those of you that all know, that this doesn't matter that if it's BG&E, that it's Pepco, that it's PECO, PP&L, all the utility providers across the East Coast will give you two rates. They have what they call their spring and summer rates, okay? And they have their fall and winter rates. So what that means is you need to get an accurate cost analysis. You'll need at the very least their October or November bill, and to determine what the rate is for the winter rates, because October 1st that carries over, right? And that's where the change happens. And then the second one you are going to need is their March or April bill, which will reflect their spring and summer rates.
Okay, thank you. So now, understanding again, in a business presentation that I was at yesterday, when somebody asked me about this scenario, I'll say to them, let me ask you something. Even if across the board, the provider you're with right now, you did not see a savings at all on your bill, let's say at all, but you know 15 friends and family that use electricity and would potentially like to get it for free, and the goal here as a consultant is you want to get it for free, right? And you want to help others do the same, then even if across the board we were the same price, what's cheaper than free? Anything cheaper than free? No. So don't get hung up when people want to start evaluating rates, right? Move on to the next person. Don't fight a battle that you're not going to win, okay? There are plenty of people out there that will understand what it is that we're trying to, the message we're trying to get across to them, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so now, yeah, okay, I'm going to get to that here. Okay, And so understand something, as I mentioned again, you're going to do a quick analysis of their bill, but this is all about personal relationship. So if they're your aunt, your uncle, your mother, your friend, your whatever, and they know you, and either at one point in your life you have done a favor for them, or they have done a favor for you, this is no different. In this, and I'm going to explain something, okay? When has BG&E, when you got a flat tire, sent someone from their company to fix your tire? When has BG&E, when you didn't have enough money to pay your mortgage, send you a check to help you pay your mortgage? When you yourself had an illness and you couldn't take your child to school, did they send a bus to pick up your child to take them to school? This is the kind of favors I'm saying that your friends and family, you've either done for them or they've done for you. So it's no different asking them to do you a favor and become your customer, because now you're redirecting funds that BG&E or Pepco or TXU or any other provider in this country has absorbed income from your family but have never put money back into your family. Understand something. Ambit Energy is going to not take money from you, but is actually going to put money into your family's needs. Okay? So you have to understand what it is that you're representing. And you have to understand, I used that as an example at a training that I was in with a young man that was trying to get his grandfather to become his customer. And of course, this kid was only 22 years old and grandfather was in his 70s. Grandpa knows better than the 22-year-old. So Grandpa said, they're brainwashing you, man. I mean, TXU's been around forever, and they're going to be around forever. Oh, you can't believe that company. So he came to training with a long face and all disappointed that his grandfather wouldn't become his customer. And I said to him, can we get him on the phone just for training purposes? And I had, a room full of people just for training purposes. Can we get him on the phone? He said, yeah, sure, we'll call him. So, hey, Granddad, look, I'm over here, at the Ambit Training Center, and I'm under training. You're on speakerphone, Grandpa, so don't embarrass me. And the lady that's, doing the training, I kind of told her what happened, between you and I, and she just wanted to talk with you. Do you have a minute? And Grandpa said, yes. And I said, well, hey, grandfather, how are you? And he kind of giggled, and I said, well, I'm glad that you're just allowing us just for a minute to do this training. I said, but understand something. According to your, I'm not going to mention his name, but according to your grandson, he says that occasionally you've lent him some money. Is that true? And he says, occasionally? Yeah, I've lent my grandson a few dollars here and there. And I said, great. And I said, how would you like that he will never have to ask you for a dime ever in your life? And he said, that would be nice, but I don't see that happening. And I said, well, that little project that he told you about, how he got involved with a company that can help save people, money on their electric bill, and you told him he was crazy because TXU, had all the lines and all the cables, and, if there's a storm, they're the ones that are going to come fix it, and, all that scenario you told them, remember that? And he said, yeah, because that's the way it is. And I said, really, that's the way it is? I said, let me ask you something. Anytime that the lines have been down in your neighborhood, have you seen a TXU truck drive up and fix the lines? And he said, no, actually, it's a company called Encore. And I said, really? Okay. So let me ask you something. When you go out to that electric pole and you look at the electric pole, is there a whole bunch of little tags all over the wires saying TXU and Reliant and Ambit and Gexa? And so, and he goes, I haven't really noticed, but I don't think there's a whole bunch of little tags. And I said, okay, so when the poles go down and they need to get fixed, and Encore comes out to fix it, do you think they look at each cable that goes to each house to see which retail provider bills them? And he goes, no, I think they just fix it. And I go, oh, so let me get this straight. So if you're thinking that TXU handles this whole process, And that's the reason you don't want to become your grandson's customer, because you're afraid if something happens, Ambit's not going to be there to fix it. But you just said it yourself through a process of evaluation that it's Encore that comes and fix it, and Encore doesn't know who bills you for what. Then do you think that your electricity would come back up? He says, yeah, you got a point. I said, yeah, I do, so go grab your bill. Because again, we don't want you to be his customer, because you already clearly said you weren't going to be his customer, but I'm using you as an example of people that say no to their family. He goes, okay, so he goes grab his bill. We do an analysis. He had never switched from TXU. So in Texas, 6 years of bills from this company. He was paying 23 cents a kilowatt, and we were at 8.7 at that time. Do the math. And I said to him, do the math. And he said, you mean you can really lower my bill that much? And I said, really, we can lower that bill that much? But no, you said you weren't going to be his customer. So remember, this example is to show people in this training that we can't help you. And he says, come on, what do you mean you can't help me? You know, so now I'm playing a game with him. Okay? Out of that one conversation, not only did he become his grandson's customer, he got his sister on the phone. She became a customer. And the sister got the daughter on the phone, and she became a customer. Out of the one guy that said no. But see, he couldn't say no to me. He could say no to his 22-year-old. So this is why I've created what I've created. Now, when you sign them up, here's what's important. You're going to sign customers up under their own A handle. Okay? Now, I'm going to fast forward just a little bit, and I'll go back because I want to show you a screen. Okay. This screen here is how you help consultants trigger the same day they become a consultant. And it's by customers referring customers. It's not even touching their names list. So how does that work? We're going to go ahead and we're going to enroll the consultant as his own customer. We're now talking to Grandma Mary. She enrolled under his handle. Grandma Mary, this is now where it goes back here. No, that's right. Okay, so now we've enrolled. Yeah, so okay, we enrolled Grandma. Now the trainer is going to say to Mary, since the goal here is to help you earn free electricity, I'm sure, as I was helping you become a customer and doing the analysis, you know someone, a neighbor, a friend, someone that you've been with that has probably complained about their high electric bills. Do people hear people complain about bills? All the time. Do you think customers hear people complain about their bills? All the time. That's where now we're going to get some referrals to help trigger that new consultant. So, Mary, let me ask you something. Do you know your neighbor well? Well, yeah, Joe. Joe, he's a good guy. Okay, great. Do you think we can get Joe on the phone so that you saw how much I helped save you some money, and the goal here is to help you get it for free? Let's give Joe a call and just say this to Joe. Joe, the most incredible thing just happened. My nephew Billy, he's working on a project that can substantially reduce your electric bill and reduce mine by 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents, whatever percent you want to put, okay, because you've already done the analysis. And he's going to potentially help me get it for free, okay? I'm trying to get out of their way from reading. I'm sorry. So Joe at this point may say something like, well, what do you mean? How's he going to do that? Now I'm out of this side.
Okay.
Right? Now, I figured you'd say that, so just hold on a second, because the person that's helping him is actually on the phone, and she's going to ask you some questions. Going back to, again, you, the sponsor, be in control of the process. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, at this point, I'm going to say to Mary, Mary, thank you for referring Joe. And as we spoke, it only takes 5 people to get one of those nice travel packages and 15 so that we can eliminate your bill altogether. And you already mentioned that you know your other neighbor too, and your sister or your son, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to talk to Joe. I'm going to help him lower his energy costs. But at the same time, you be making a list at home thinking about who else you'd like me to call for you. Click. Now we do the process with Joe. Now, before I even open my mouth, Joe's already thinking, if she's going to help her get a travel package of some sort, or help her eliminate her bill, I wonder if she could do that for me. Would you think that that's what he's thinking after he heard me give her instructions? Not only that, that once I do the analysis and he does become a customer, what do you think he knows I'm going to ask him? For some names as well. Okay? So now the duplication process begins. Now when we go to enroll Joe, we're enrolling Joe under Mary's A number. For those of you that are seasoned, you may be a little confused here. For those of you that are new, maybe not. Maybe you know this. But customers referring customers trigger out our Jumpstart bonuses. Okay? So in this area, 3 customers give you 100. The additional 2 will give you the additional 50. Another little nugget. If you know anyone from Texas, enroll them first and make $200. Because Crest Texas comp plan will work in your market as long as you gather customers in Texas. So when you start establishing a list with them, ask them how many people do they know in Texas, right? And then if they're not one of the leaders, if they're not one of those A people, right? If they're not a business owner, if they're not a leader in their church, if they're not a coach, or if they're not, that they really can just be a customer, then enroll them as a customer. Okay? Now, I saw some faces in the back that kind of like weren't sure of what I was saying. So if you do have a question about that, do you want to ask it just for videoing purposes, or do you understand that? Do you understand it? Okay. Okay, so a lot of times folks do this. Every customer they enroll, even if it was referred by someone else, they enroll them in their handle. So these customers, well, these 3 here won't count towards your free energy, only Mary's will, because this one will count towards Mary's rewards, this one will count for Joe's rewards, and this one will count for Harry's rewards. Okay? Does that make sense? But do you see how simple this process, that within an hour you can get your new consultants paid? Now, would that be easier than then wondering and backtracking to try to get them paid and then never getting them paid? Right? Okay, so to this point, are we clear? Because I'm going to move forward. Yes?
So,
say it loud because you're being recorded.
Even though the customers below Mary only count towards her free energy, all of those customers are still the consultant's customers.
Correct.
Right? So they still count towards the 20 handful of customers.
Correct, because this A number is all linked to this handle right here. Okay? And so these count for residual income and for fast start bonuses. Okay? Now, results achieved. Now, if you're in Texas, you would see those results immediately in Power Zone. So at that point, I would go into my Power Zone and I would show them, right? Now again, teach them by showing them. I've now shown them how to get onto their Power Zone, go up to their personal reports, look up their customers, okay, and see that they're enrolled. Now, the step that is very important that I'm going to go back to is verification. When you enroll them, immediately verify them their customer account. And teach them that as they enroll customers, they immediately want to verify their customers. Okay? Because if you do not verify a customer, yes, Ambit Energy says that in 24 hours they're going to begin calling them. But how many times on your cell phone or your home phone have you seen an 800 number call you and you let it go to voicemail? Right? So your customers will do the same thing, and they will have message after message after message left, and then after 6 attempts, verification will stop, and your customer will turn to black. So it'll turn to a canceled account, a little black dot. The key is we want all adults to be yellow. Either gray when you put the cursor over it that says verification call success, or yellow because it converted to pending. Another nugget, in this area, you may have done the verification call success. Encourage your new consultants to at least before Friday, pull up their report and see how many customers converted to yellow, or is one black or is one red, and then put the cursor over the dot and see, because it may say invalid ID number, or invalid POD number, or invalid something. And so in their mind they're thinking, well, I enrolled them, I verified them, I have all 5, I'm going to get paid on Friday. But then a process in the middle got changed. And so with that change, they won't get paid. Another nugget, if they're within the first 28 hours, then you got plenty of time to fix it, right? But if they were on the 28th day and they're expecting to get paid the next week, if they call consultant support, and I'm going to say this to the camera, if you call consultant support and they say there's a problem with a customer that you need to re-enroll it, say thank you very much and hang up the phone, and don't do that. Call your upline senior executive to help you fix your customer. Okay? Because here's what happens. If you re-enroll a customer and you or your consultant is out of those 28 days, it goes by enrollment date. It does not go by re-enrolling them. So if that one final customer stays canceled and they're expecting that additional $50 and they enroll that customer after they've gone through their 28 days, guess what? They're not going to get the 50 and they're not going to be happy. Every situation with every customer can be fixed. Because Ambit Energy is growing at the rapid pace they're growing, they cannot train consultant supports enough to know the answers, and sometimes you may get somebody that's new and doesn't know the answer. Does that make Ambit Energy bad? No, that just means that we're growing and they can't keep up with training, okay? But you hear it here today, you hear it on, on this training, so you can never say again, well, I didn't know, right? Because now it's recorded, okay? I want to make that clear, because that's where we get paid, okay? So now, once we've done that, we went ahead and started getting the referrals. We're going to even call back Mary and do the same process again. Results created, because now we have immediately enrolled their 4 customers or 5 customers. Next step then. At that point, your consultant is ecstatic, because what you said you were going to do, you did. You gave them the results. So now what are we going to do? Immediately, that evening. Now let me go back to what I had mentioned before. If you're at a business presentation or at a training or at a meeting where you know you're not going to be able to get their customers in that night because of time purposes, you immediately pull out the calendar and make an appointment right then and there to do the process of creating a list. It's not even so much sending them home with assignment of making a list, because most of them won't, okay? But at the same time that you're making an appointment, you're making an appointment for their 2 home meetings. Why? Because we want to be in control of the process, and we want our new MCs to know the importance of a process. Does that make sense? Do most friends and family feel comfortable in the comfort of your living room or going to a business presentation at a hotel? What would you think? at someone's home, right? Why? Because they've been to your home before, right? So, what do? I again want to create and establish their comfort level of how they're going to invite to their first home meeting. Because the one thing you don't want, which most of us do, is oh my God, Joe, you're not going to believe it. I'm so excited about this new business that I saw. It's just going to be a way that I can get that Porsche that I always wanted and that mansion for my wife, and we're going to travel and we're going to do things, and oh my God, you just have to see this. I'm going to have this guy come over to my house. He's going to explain it. Boom, bam, boom. You're going to be rich. I'm going to be rich. And your friend goes, what have they conned you into now? Right? So, example. Oh, let me go back. Sorry. So, get small talk out of the way. Clear the night. Hey, Julius, what are you doing Wednesday night?
Nothing, Heidi. Just hanging out.
You just hanging out? Hey, cool. Look, I'm working on a project, and I really value your opinion because of everything you've done in your life and your career or whatever. You told me Wednesday you have nothing planned, so do me a favor. Grab a bag of ice or some chips and come on over Wednesday. I want something to talk to you about.
Sure, no problem. But Heidi, what is it?
Well, let me say this. It's primarily visual. You already told me that you're free on Wednesday, so come on over.
Come on, Heidi, we're friends. You know, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, Julius, it may go something like this. How many people do you know use electricity?
Tequila, you've been having fun with tequila. Everybody.
Okay. And if we can help them reduce it or potentially eliminate it, do you think that would make sense?
I'm curious now.
Yeah. Okay. And if you and I were first to market a concept like that, how much money do you think you and I could make? But again, Julius, I'm just asking for an opinion on a project I'm working on. I'm not asking you for anything else. Can you grab that bag of ice? Can I count on you?
Sure.
Okay, I'll see you Wednesday. Bye. Most people don't do what Julius just did. He just set it up so that if you do have someone that pushes, you know how to handle it. And that also is, and I'll go over it because I have those on my slide. Most of the time, though, when you've cleared the night with someone, hey, Phil, what are you doing Wednesday night? Nothing. Great, look. I value your opinion. I'm working on a project. I just need you to come and review some information. But by the way, on the way over, bring me a bag of chips or ice, okay? So I don't have to go out and get it. Okay, great. Don't complicate the process, guys. And if then they push, that's when then you can go on. Okay? Now, I think I clicked too fast. I hate this. Okay, okay, we got that. Does that make sense? Clear your night, tell someone you value their opinion, and get them in a seat at your house. Your upline then will come and share the video that you find in Success Magazine, right? I believe that we have more traction if we show a video at a home presentation than when we do a PowerPoint presentation. How many people here think that the first night they saw a PowerPoint presentation, the next day they could do a PowerPoint presentation? Anybody in this room? How many here saw the presentation on a video? You're one. Raise your hand. You saw the presentation for the first time on a video. Do you believe that the next day you left, you could say to a friend, hey, I'm considering doing something. Can I come on over and show you a DVD?
Yes, that would be easy.
Right? Everyone then, from that moment forward, business began. From that moment forward, business begins. Right? Because what do we want to do? We want to duplicate, just give me the whole magazine, that's fine. We want to duplicate the process. We want to multiply our efforts. Did we get an Ambit Energy to have another job?
No.
I know I didn't. I know those 30 days I took off to Europe and my weekly checks were going up and my residual income was higher than it had ever been. I wasn't even there to create it. That's what we're all looking for, walk-away income. Everyone can put in a DVD. I have a lot of organizations that don't even have computers at home, but can afford to go to Big Lots and get a little $19 DVD player, get a little cheap set of headsets, and sit down with somebody and say, hey, I got something to show you. Right? So we don't have to be all fancy and all technology. That's great. All that's great, right? Webinars and conference calls and training, that's all great. But let's make it simple enough that everyone can do this. Does that make sense? So, the importance of this tool, once you're done with your home presentation, if your sponsor is there, your sponsor will close out the meeting and answer the questions. If your sponsor is not there, you put him on speakerphone and he can close out the meeting from wherever he's at. And at the end, the sponsor is going to say, make sure that before you go home, you leave with a Success from Home magazine that will answer any questions that you may have that weren't answered today. And you can look at that video again from home. So he's going to guide them through the next validation process. Okay? That's why it's important. I love when people say, oh yeah, I have one of those magazines. One of those magazines. So you're only planning on showing it to one person and then run to that one person and get your magazine so you can then show it to the next person and then run to that person and then so you can show it to the next person? No! Get packs of these, okay? Because you may be thinking, oh man, that's $3.50 or $4 a magazine times blah, 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 blah. What is it costing you not to have it? You know what it's costing you? Them Googling Ambit Energy online and seeing the first things that people talk about. Ambit Energy, it's a scam. It's this, it's a pyramid scheme. They did this, they did that, blah, 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 blah. Right? Again, they go home with material that they can evaluate. They will evaluate the right information. And then, my God, if you live in Maryland, you have both of your leaders on the front cover. These are my business partners. There's a story here, a 2-page story on Julius and Shelley Weems, the first ECs from Maryland. Back here, there's a story about Phil Moser and his persistence and determination to make this happen. You're now relating to your people, okay? Enough said about that. Now, at that point, you have shown a proper system that your new MC can easily do, get paid, set up 2 home meetings that will be successful, and multiply that process over and over. Now, the next person that's coming up, I dearly, it's something we all get in as MCs, we all promote to regional, senior, executive, or national, so somewhere in those buckets, they'll come in, no worries. So let me just circle back, because when I was done, someone came out and said to me, I've handed out a lot of magazines and I'm not getting them back. Okay, so I'm just going to circle back on how you handle that. This material that's used for validation is used by setting an appointment on when you're going to get this back. So if you're using this after a business presentation, either at a hotel or at a home, this is the perfect way to do a follow-up. Right? I got a text the other day by a consultant that said, should I wait for those that are interested to call me or should I call them? And I said within 24 to 48 hours, it is our responsibility to get back to them. That same evening, when they left with this, hey, look, I'm limited to the material that I have, so I'm going to give you this, but can I assure that, let's say it was Sunday, can I assure by Tuesday you and I can get together and review any questions you may have?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Say no to me.
No.
No, well, okay, let me do this. Okay, since I'm limited to this information and you can't get back with me on Tuesday, when would be a good day that we can get back together?
Friday.
Friday? Okay. Well, then why don't we do this? I'm going to give you, and there's a whole bunch of information there. You have, Julius has put together a fact energy sheet that gives people the right places to go and look for information. So that doesn't cost as much as this. Then send them home with that. We'll see you on Friday, and then you and I can review the rest of the stuff on Friday. Is that okay? Because you don't want to be chasing people, all right? And then also, a lot of people say that they use this as a contacting material. And how many of you have actually given out a magazine and told someone to take a look at the video and get back with you, and when you call them, they still haven't seen the video or read the magazine? How many? Okay. Again, the difference is, I'd like you to review some information. Most importantly, I need you to take a look at this video. It's about 20-25 minutes long. When will you be able to take a look at this?
Thursday.
Thursday. And today is what?
Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, let's do this. Since obviously there's going to be things in your life between here and Thursday, I'll give you a call and we'll review some information online. Is that okay? Okay. Understand that what's here is in the internet. So if you are truly limited to these, then why are you all handing these out freely without making an appointment to get it back, right? Because what are we looking for? Are we looking for results? Or are we looking for reading material for the bathroom? Because usually what do people do with magazines? They take them where? And when you ask them where's the magazine, they'll say, oh, it's sitting in the back of the toilet. Right?
And then you don't want it back.
There you go. So if it's results we're looking for, then again, when you have an illness and you call a doctor, right, you have to make an appointment, right? When you have a tax issue and you need someone to help you, you call an accountant, right? And you make an appointment. Ambit Energy is no different. Set appointments, be in control of the process. So I wanted to add that. And then one other thing I wanted to add, another question that this gentleman had was, do you lead with customer information or do you lead with the opportunity? I'm going to say this clearly. A brand new marketing consultant sitting with their sponsors' only responsibility within that first hour or two is to gather their handful of customers. Once you get them paid, your career in Ambit Energy is to expose the opportunity, and then they decide whether they want to be your business partner or they want to be your customer. That's how the rest of your customers will come into play. Does that make sense? So you always lead with the opportunity, and then you fall back, customer after they've reviewed the information. Why? Because you may expose it to someone. It may not be for them, but you can say to them, this didn't fit your model. I'd appreciate you then being loyal to me. You're going to pay this bill anyway. Be my customer. But in the meantime, do you happen to know anyone that this model may fit? And they may say, oh yeah, my brother-in-law or my sister-in-law or my friend or my neighbor. And they then give you names that then you can go and do the process all over again. And now you've added more names to your list. Does that make sense? Never be afraid to ask for a referral. In the process I'm going to talk about now is this. How many folks got into the business, had more than 100 people in your email distribution list? And how many people sent your link to all those 100 people? Okay, a few. And how many that sent out 100 emails actually got calls back of people how excited about this new thing you're doing? Nobody. Why? Look at your phone right now and tell me how many unread emails do you have? A lot. Right? Just because your loyal friend is your loyal friend doesn't mean that their intention wasn't to read the email and look at the link. But if they opened it on their phone and they don't have time to review the video, what happens? They'll say, I'll get to it later. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, you're sitting at a business presentation and your friend is there with their neighbor. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, 3 weeks ago I sent you the link, I'm in the business, why'd you come with the neighbor? Oh, what email? What link? I don't know what you're talking about. My neighbor just came over, knocked on the door and said, hey, what are you doing tonight? I said, nothing. They said, get in the car. Right? Again, what are we looking for? Results. Same thing. So, This process is key. And don't get weird about it, okay? Don't get weird about it. All right? I'm not a professional actor. Ask someone, you call somebody, again, example. Hey, Peter, what are you doing right now?
No, nothing. I'm just.
Are you driving? Are you home? Where are you?
I'm watching TV.
You're watching
football
TV?
game.
Okay, great. Hey, you watching football? When's football over?
We'll be over 4 o'clock.
About 4 o'clock? Okay. You doing anything around 4:30?
No, not
No,
me.
I just need 20 minutes of your time. Can you give it to me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll call you at about 4:30.
What's
Bye.
What's it all about?
I already hung up. You know, I shouldn't even ask my consultants because they all want to add this. Well, can you tell me more? Really? Is that what you tell your friends? No, you say, no problem, call me at 4:30, right? Okay. So, again, don't get weird with the process. You know, hey, Shelly, what are you doing?
I'm in the car driving.
You're in your car driving? Okay, hey, when are you going to be home?
Probably about 7 o'clock.
About 7 o'clock? Okay, cool. When you get home around 7, do you got kids to feed or anything like that to do?
Yeah, I got it.
Big kid, little kid, laundry, anything?
I got homework with your bar, but I'll be done by 8:30.
Okay, cool. So about 9 o'clock, you're free, you're relaxed, whatever. I just need 20 minutes for you to evaluate something. Is that okay?
Okay.
I'll call you then.
Okay.
Click. Okay. Why am I saying this? Because if somebody is not accessible to be in front of a computer, to take a look at what you're working on, that's when the questions of what do you want to talk to about? What do you want to review? What do you want to whatever? Can you text it to me? Can you email it to me? No. What are you doing, Elise?
Nothing. Right?
Nothing. Awesome. Are you by your computer?
Yes.
Awesome. Or is like there's no interruptions right now?
No.
Cool, because I want to share something with you. Go get in front of the computer.
I'm in front of the computer right now.
Awesome. On there, click on www.getwire.hotsystem.com. I'll repeat it again.
In Google?
No. Go up to the browser, you know, where you put www, not in the search bar, but in the top. And do www.getwire.hotsystem.com.
Okay.
Okay, cool. When that handsome man comes up and he starts talking, pause him for a minute. Because if you don't, he won't shut up.
Okay.
Okay, pause. Cool. Okay, now, it's going to take about 23 minutes for you to evaluate something that I value your opinion, and I'm going to give you a call back in about 23 minutes. Now, you told me that there will be no interruptions in the next 20 minutes, right? We safe? We're good? Okay, because I'm going to call you back in about 23 minutes, and if you don't answer the phone, I'm thinking either your house is on fire or you had to run to the bathroom.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So then I'll call you in about 23 minutes. Click. Now, she's now on what? The process of watching what you would have sent her an email or a text and had expected her to see it when she had time to see it, right? And then you spend your time chasing them because they haven't seen it. So now I know she's on. Now I call her back, right? And when I call her back, that's all, no, whatever. When I call her back, if it goes to voicemail, because people ask me this all the time, if it goes to voicemail, what do you do? Because you told her you're only going to call her once, right? I'll say that funny thing. Wow, your house must have caught on fire. You really had an emergency because you're not answering, right? Talk to you later. Click. Now, if they don't call you back, do you have your answer?
Yes.
Right? They're not interested. Don't cry. Right? But they know what you're doing. So now if neighbor next week says to them, sit in my car, I want to take you to something. Oh, is that about Ambit Energy or whatever? Because I have a friend of mine that just saw it, right? Then they can circle back and go to the friend because they now know the friend is also involved, right? If they say no, they're not available, find out when they are available. Because again, the key here is what? Get them through the process. And then the three-way call is essential. The three-way call is going to determine whether you have success or you don't have success with your friends. Your friends know you know nothing about energy. And if you've never been in business, your friends know that you've never been in business. Linda and her husband that have been in business went and scheduled a home meeting, didn't have good results. But if in fact she would have called 20 people and told, I'm having a get together, I value your opinion, I just want you to come, over, hey, grab a bag of ice or a bag of chips, she might have had more people at her house. I don't know how she actually contacted them, right? But maybe she can do it again and have better results, right? Again, what you want to do is you want to keep it simple, because all you want to do is get them in front of the process. Now, three-way calls are important for you to know who's going to help you with that three-way call. In my team, I teach people to text me the word on. Julius and Shelley understand it, Phil understand it. If they get a text that says on, they know that somebody is either looking at a business presentation live or they're looking at a 20-minute video. So if they're available, if they look at their watch and they're available in 20 minutes, they're going to text you back the word yes. If they say no, but two others say yes, now you know who you're going to call to help you with that three-way call. Okay? So, when now, Elise, I call Elise back, answer the phone, Elise. Ring, ring.
Yes.
Hi, Elise. Awesome. Hey, did you see it from beginning to end?
Yes, I did.
You
Yes,
did?
I
Awesome. Did that make sense to you?
Sure did.
It did. Awesome. Hey, quick question. Does that mean then that you're ready to get started, or do you still have a few questions?
I don't have the money right now.
You don't have the money right now? Okay, hold on one second. I thought you'd say that. Now, when you all are on a cell call, you're on the phone, you're driving, or you're wherever, and you're on the phone, and your phone rings and you're talking to somebody, what is normally what you say to the person you're talking with? Hold on a second, right? This person in the process doesn't know whether you got a call coming in or not. You just said, oh, I figured you'd say that. Hold on a second. Ring, ring, Julius.
Hey.
Julius answers the phone. Hey, Julius, I'm on the phone. Alicia just finished watching the video from beginning to end. Okay. So he knows. Her only objection is she doesn't have the money right now. I'm going to click you over.
Okay, great.
Hey, Alicia, this is my business partner, Julius. As I mentioned, don't use titles. People don't know what SC is, EC is, NC is, right? So don't use titles. This is my business partner, Julius. Him and his wife had a successful engineering contracting business. They've been successful in business. They've now joined me in this project that you and I are taking a look at. He's very, very knowledgeable about helping someone with the situation that you just said. And Julius, I've known Elise from church. She's a great leader. You know, I've known her for many years. She's a good dear friend of mine. Elise, Julius, mute your phone.
Hey, Alicia, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
You must be somebody really important, because I have so much respect for Heidi and what we're doing, the projects we're working on. And so she said you looked at the video from beginning to end. Is that true?
Yes, I did.
That is great. So I know you saw some of the incredible things we're doing. Could you just give me an idea of what are the top 3 things you liked about what you saw?
I like helping people,
Okay.
and it seems like we help a lot of people doing that. Obviously, I like to make money, and I like to save money. So,
wow, that is awesome. You know, me and my wife Shelley started this business, and we felt the same way. And what we found with Ambit is that, you know, we're able to help a lot of people. And then by helping people, we're also able to change our financial future. That's important to you?
yes.
That's
definitely.
great. So I know Heidi got me on the phone with you, but are you ready to get signed up now? Or are there some key questions I could answer for you so we can get you going with this team? Because we believe you'd be a great addition to this team.
Yeah, my problem right now, see, I don't have a way of getting $429 or a little bit more. I'm concerned about that, so I want to think about it a little more.
Okay, just so that I'm clear, is the only reason you're not starting the business right now because you don't have $429?
Yes.
That's not a problem at all. And so what we're going to do is that, Heidi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Julius.
What I would like you to do, Heidi, is to work with Elise to get her list.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and get her plugged into training so we can schedule a home meeting for her
Okay.
with her list, and we can actually get you started in the business. And Heidi is going to work with you to do a home presentation with the people on your list. And then guess what? When we get people that are ready to join your business, we'll find a way to make sure that you can get your 429, because we're going to be building your business even before you get into the business.
Can you do that for me? Really?
Well, if Heidi called me with you on the phone, she must have felt like you could be somebody successful in this business. And this is how we help people like that.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank
Awesome,
you.
awesome. Well, Julius, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to help us out. Thank
All
you.
right, Heidi.
Goodbye. Hey, Elise, like you mentioned, I can go ahead and help do a few meetings for you. So, how does Tuesday or Wednesday work for you? Which one's better?
Wednesday is
Okay.
better.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's you and I come up with a little, line that we're just going to call your friends and family with to invite them to get them over to your house, and then we can just go from there. Is that okay?
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you so much.
at that point, right, if let's say it was Sunday and we're going to do a meeting for Wednesday, right, Sunday is a good time to make calls. So then we're going to do that same process with our friends and family. Hey, I'm reviewing a project. I value your opinion. I'd like you to come over and take a look at something. When, and you cleared the night, so Wednesday at 7, hey, grab a bag of chips or a bag of ice. Can I count on you? Great, bye. Right? That's how we're going to prepare her home meeting. So, three-way call again, important. Get to know a little bit about the person that is going to do the three-way call for you. Tell the three-way call person where she's at in the process, right? And then mute your phone and allow that person to take that person to the next step. And until they say, like Julia said, Heidi, are you still there? That's when you unmute your call, okay? So, at this point, I think I've pretty much spoken enough that I need to speak. I am, and I have, the awesome pleasure. And for all of you that don't know, this couple is featured in our Success from Home magazine on page 61. I ain't gonna forget that now. And they're most of you upline, okay? And as I mentioned before, on page 87, you have Phil. So you have two leaders that are here locally that can help you with your business, so use this properly. But anyway, I got to meet them shortly after they got involved in the business. And let me tell you, for a couple that has had the success that they've had in business, when Phil and I said to them, are you willing to be coachable and teachable? I have never met a couple that humbled themselves and said, I'm willing to be coachable and teachable. And I believe because they chose to be coachable and teachable, that their success in Ambit, because of their determination, and persistence, okay? And let me tell you something, tweaking all the time, because Julius would call me all the time. I did this, what should I do? It didn't work out the way I did. He'd call Phil, Shelly would call me. Okay, this may work for you this way, but it may not work for you that way. What do you suggest? If you're in their team, the same thing. If you're doing things that you are not quite giving you the success in your business, call us for guidance. Oh, look, it's not that we want to look better than you or be better than you, or we've just had a little more experience. And we've already been there, done that, and we don't want you hitting your head against the wall, right? So that's all. So with that, I'm going to bring